Have you ever flipped through the television channels and you come across a show called Finding Bigfoot or another show called The Curse of Oak Island? They're interesting shows, I guess, but they're just theater dressed up as reality television. They don't want to find Bigfoot if Bigfoot exists. If you think Bigfoot exists, let me know. But if they found Bigfoot, there would be no more industry or any more television shows about this. Movies, there's a big industry for this. We would just have another animal at the zoo or protected species in a wildlife range, right? They don't want to find Bigfoot. They just want to show that's a theater about Bigfoot. And the same is true about Oak Island. Oak Island's about let's find this buried treasure in this Canadian little island. If they found the treasure, there'd be no more show. And they make the producers, the people on the shows, on this show, they make more money through the show than probably the treasure would be if they found it. And so I admire these shows in a way that it's theater and you have to hand it to them. But many of our IT services feel like theater as well. They focus more on what's visible and the process and the optics than what's really reliability, security, user outcomes. And we see this with security theater. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? Where we have lots of activity, lots of artifacts, but do we really reduce our risk? Do we really zero in and say, here's our largest vulnerability? How do we want to mitigate that? And if not, and we're just collecting artifacts, that's the same theater as finding Bigfoot. Let me use another example. Do you want to frequent a restaurant that is only clean when the health inspector shows up? No, we want a restaurant that's clean all the time. But most of our metrics and our measures, they're designed for us to put on a dashboard for the monthly leadership meetings. They really don't help us deliver better services. That's why they're just theater. Think about your SLAs. Most of those are theater. And I know I'm going to get some, uh, not hate, but some discussion by calling SLAs theater. If your service provider, vendor partner puts tickets into pending state just so the SLA clock stops, it's probably theater, right? Because whatever caused that SLA issue, it's still going on. And in your organization, I have this question for you. Are SLAs really indicative of service performance? Most organizations, they're not. Now let's think about process and paperwork theater. You all know what I'm talking about, right? We have all this process and paperwork, and we're like, oh, we have our processes mature. And most organizations don't, because in our process and our paperwork theater, we're worried about showing all the steps of our process, not how it makes our users have better performance or our customers have better performance. We're just worried about having our documentation up to date. And I'm all for that. But it should be based upon the service itself. And there are many others. We talked about security, but there's also, I don't really want to get into it too far, but we talk about like business intelligence. We talk about many other areas like compliance. Are you really compliant with SOX, HIPAA, SOC, or do you just have the paperwork that shows you're compliant? Because compliance driven controls are sometimes implemented to satisfy frameworks rather than like our threats. And so when we have this security or compliance theater, we have all the paperwork, we tick all the boxes. Our leaders are like, they have this false sense of security and safety, thinking, man, I can sleep tonight. We are doing a great job. But you still have those important gaps that remain. We see it with watermelon dashboards that are theater, right? They show green, but when you click down through it, you see a lot of red. And I don't really want to pick on all these areas. I just want us to dive deeper and get away from this theater that we sometimes fall into that trap, thinking that we do things for a show, not really for the purpose that we have. Compliance is a great, great area. So is security, so are SLAs. But we need to do it for the purpose of those, not just so we're filling out some kind of paperwork. Because we all know that if we're doing things just for paperwork, we'll never do a great job with it because we're just doing it at surface level. We're not going to put any meaning behind it. So tell me, what are the areas in your organization that are just theater? They're like Finding Bigfoot, The Curse of Oak Island. What is it in your organization? I'd love to hear from you. My name's Jeffrey Tiefertiller, and I thank you for being a part of what we do. Hope you have an awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day. Connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know how I can help you and your organization deliver better services, better outcomes, and get rid of this theater and start doing great work. Have an awesome day. Bye.